on democracy and governance, the impact on Nigerians. I'm not alone in the studio. I've got with me Mr. S.A. Jerry Azakaza, a public affairs analyst, and also Mr. Isaac Eda, who is a political analyst. Welcome on board, gentlemen.
Good morning, Delta. Thank you for having me.
Good morning, Delta. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you in political arena. Now let's delve into the conversation very quickly. Democracy and governance, the impact on Nigerians. I'd like to begin with you, Mr. Isaac. Would you say that there have been any impact on Nigerians in terms of democracy and governance since 1999 up until date?
Well, there are great improvements. When any man says there's no improvement in Nigeria, they are not saying the truth. Because we know by 1998, the democracy was put in motion by Major General Mr. Baka, which everybody thought it will not materialize. But be it that is me, as an honest man, democracy come to play. And late Awolowo said the best military administration, the worst democratic administration is better than the best military administration. Why? Because there is freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom to do so many things. Neither bad or evil. It is the government that will filter it. And if you come to development, like what I've said here before, in Warri, to be precise, which I know, you see double lay, street lights and everything is in the land. So I don't want to say much because, but I know democracy have developed, Nigerians have developed more than where we are before.
Okay,
so
thank you.
Good impact.
All right, coming out to you, Mr. Jerry S.A., do you share similar view in terms of the impact of democracy and governance in Nigeria since 1999?
Well, let me be very candid, and to do so, I would like to look at certain survey that has been carried out between 2021 down to up to 2002 by, for instance, the Pew Institute of Research Center, the research center that the Pew Research Center based in the United States, and of course the Afrobarometer, which is an independent research institute located in Ghana. Now globally, citizens of democratic or countries with democratic profile are questioning the efficacy of democracy, whether it has worked or otherwise. And for instance, the Pew Research Center that I mentioned earlier carried out a survey using 34 nations across the globe. That include mature nations and developed nations like Nigeria. And of the number of persons interviewed, 52% from 100% actually point to the responses point to the fact that democracy is on a steady decline. Coming back relatively to the Afrobarometer, the institution in Africa that is in Ghana, the same number of nations, African nations, 34 precisely, were used, and at the same time, the development or the impact of democracy was being questioned. And if we have to relate to Nigeria, I want to some extent, agree to the fact that from where we were yesteryears, from 1999 till now, there seemingly seem to be some level of impact positively But with this, by expectation, where we ought to have been, I want to think that we are not there yet. So I want to go by the research position that democracy has not been so impactful. That doesn't mean it hasn't actually played any role positively. I want to leave it there at this moment.
Okay, I'd like to go back to Mr. Isaac now. You know, when you say yes, democracy has been impactful and governance has been developing in Nigeria, are you satisfied with the level of governance and the level of democracy we've experienced since 1999 till date in Nigeria?
First, the government in power did some things positive to the development of this country. There are some things that is coming up now. I can knock my chest that in this my vicinity, there are a lot of development, infrastructure, education. I remember during the time of Jameson and Efebori, developed, clear the roads, do double lane, street lights. When you don't come in, don't street lights everywhere. Build schools, provide buses for children to go to school, free medical care. And when the Kowa did this, and now it's Sheriff. And Sheriff is trying to put on some.
And you're satisfied with the level of development?
Basically, I'm not, we say ask for more, but they have done some of their best.
Okay.
And their best may not be good enough, but at that time, they have done their best. They do some things. If you watch, you see Okowa and bring technical schools, and now are you getting them? So you find that at it, like anyone that come in, try to put something on ground. Anyone that comes in, try to put something on ground. If you watch, before when we were small, when we were sure, if we want, somebody want to talk to us from America, we go and sit and file in a particular house. Because of the man asked telephone, it is that man that will be the lord of the area. So everybody will go there. And you see when you want and ready to come and phone by 12 o'clock tomorrow, you say everybody will now sit down and begin to wait for your turn. But today, there's no talk. You can be here and phone. In those days, you want to send telegram. Father need you immediately. You go to post office. You send it. But today, you have your text message. Open your phone, send the message, go there, and the person reply. Communication. Today, in those days when we are children, say telephone without wire. Today there is telephone without wire that everybody put in his pocket and move. So that is part of development.
What sort of development in particular? Because I am wondering how the advancement in technology like telephone has to do with democracy in Nigeria and development in Nigeria, especially when you consider the fact that none of these devices are being produced here in Nigeria.
First, you start from somewhere.
Sorry?
First, you start from somewhere.
Okay.
Then you move. These devices, somebody will introduce, somebody will develop. The one that introduced, the next one we think of developing.
Where does introduce and develop come into the Nigerian democratic and governance space? Because if you're saying, oh, at least we've moved on, and you're citing technologies which were imported, somebody is wondering, where does the Nigerian democracy and those who've benefited in the leadership positions of this come in? We've neither produced, we've neither, assembled here, We are consumers, importers, and as a matter of fact, that seems to even be telling on our economy from what our exchange rates used to be in the 1999s to what it is right now. It's a far cry.
Let me tell you first, when you are talking about development, if we want to criticize, we'll go into that area. We'll go an arm's length in that area. But the issue, look at it from the normal angle of impact to the people. Is the people impacted with this one first? First, you first of all acknowledge this one that is being done. By who? By our government. If today,
do you mean the telephone I'm using is by our government? How?
Look, let me tell you, people did it. There are some things you do in this country, other country come and import it. There are some things you do in this government. There's what called global trade. There are some things you do too. Like see motor now, produce motor, produce cars, take them to Ghana, take them to Cameroon, take them to Zimbabwe, take them to Mali, for them to. Are you getting my point now? Those cars are being produced here, but they take them elsewhere. People, so that is also how the other people will do some certain things. You yourself, you will go there and bring them for your people to use because they are useful. Then the next line of action is this thing that I'm going to import. Please, we want to be producing it here or assembling this here. But first, the question is this: how does the democracy impact it? So and first and foremost, if you look at those other countries that we are trying to judge our democracy with, like America now, when you come to the year of democracy of Nigeria, it's a minimal to compare to America or compare to British or compare. Are you getting my point now? So those people started, we even borrowed the democracy from them. Are you getting my point now? So that is it. So now, as we are now, I know at a time, if you don't we don't phone, we are like a blind man. Today you can call your brother, people are accident free, no this. Today you can call your brother in Kaduna, call your brother in Lagos, call your brother. So, but without you even traveling, instead of you to go to meet Mr. A, you call the person here, discuss with him, and conclude the arrangement, and everything goes. So is that not, that also is part of development?
Okay, I'd like to come to Mr. Jerry Essay right now. Initially, you talked about how democracy has not been the best thus far. But before I question you on that, do you share any agreement in thoughts with Mr. Isaac, who feels like the fact that in terms of communication we have some technologies which are imported, then that transcends to some growth in our democratic and governance space?
Well, let me firstly make a mild correction. I actually didn't say democracy hasn't impacted to any level at any point, but we're talking about expectation. If we go by expectation, then we'll look at ratio. I guess that's the why I gave that statistics. From the statistics, it will show that democracy, not only in Nigeria, but we are looking at Nigeria right now, hasn't actually impacted as expected. Now, perhaps, sorry, it will seem like my colleague seemed to be wearing a toga while he wants to look at the issue, but I want to be dispassionate. And trying to be dispassionate will be that I do not share in his view that technologically or otherwise that we have been, democracy have been able to impact on us, because if it has, we'll be creating and manufacturing some of these things that is being mentioned. Now, even from 1990 date, for example, that we're using as a case, there are smaller countries within just looking out your window, and then the larger ones, they are even improving technological wise from one position to the other. This Nigeria is a mono economy. You cannot say a country that democracy has thrived from 1999, if we are going to use that, we don't want to go beyond 1999, we can't say we have actually gotten to the point where that we should be, let alone. In fact, we are not even at the start of point. Because there is no conscientious effort from leadership from 1999 date to want to bring the dividend of democracy as it has to do with development in all strata. For instance, if I have to even trickle down to the point he was trying to raise that has to do with school and all that, what's the use even building schools that you don't equip? I want to think that there are certain persons that works under this establishment that in the then days, if you say a student, a friend is at a private school, they will laugh at them. Because the government schools or government-owned schools or public schools, as it were the in thing. Today, if a child says, I'm in a public school, it's the opposite. You want to call that development? For me, no. Is that the positive impact that democracy has brought? For me, no. And you cannot hinge development in any society without talking about education. Exactly why I want to stay there. Because you don't talk about technology without education. You don't talk about even the administrative development for any nation that we're talking about. It has to do with education emphasis. So for me, there is still room for development. There is still room for growth, but we have not gotten there. So I disagree to an extent that if we borrow technology from outside and that happens to be whatever, we should have been, from the time Awolowo brought the first television, by now we should have been producing house. That's what I want to hear. Where are those manufacturing companies that Nigeria used to have? Like, you know, if you go to Port Harcourt, you have the Michelin tires. If you go to Lagos, there's an auto plant. If you go to Kaduna, you still got that. If those industries or manufacturing sectors are in comatose today or non-existent, and then we want to say that democracy is impacted in Nigeria, I don't think so. That's why I blatantly and totally disagree.
All right, I'd like to come back now to Mr. Isaac, and let's talk about the democratic process in particular. You talked about how in 1998, when the talks of democracy coming back were ongoing, Nigerians doubted. But then look at us from 1999, this is 2023. Let's look at the impact of the fact that we now practice a democracy as against a dictatorship or a military regime in Nigeria. Has that increased the confidence of Nigerians on governance by your observation since 1999 till 2023?
When PDP was in power, democracy thrived. But right from this APC episode, you will find out that it's always one-sided.
What do you mean?
What I mean is this. If you watch when Jonathan was in power, Jonathan does not use judges to make rules, to give judgment.
Are you accusing the incumbent administration of controlling the judiciary and using them for partisan favors? That's a very heavy allegation,
yes,
right there.
I will substantiate my like take for instance, from the advance of democracy till just now, PDP always win Plateau State. But as I'm talking to you now, all the seats, they don't knock them on, they knock them on technical ground. Just like somebody that wants to give an account, like an accountant will say no go wash cash, make it not my shit. When you bring technical ground, there must always be technical ground to knock anybody when they come to it.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So in partisan politics, there's always interest in it. Are you getting my point? And in democracy, the rule of law take its course. So that is when somebody that win 4 local government will go to court, one judgment to overturn to his favor, because anything can happen in the law court. So So if you watch our democracy, they only go to court, you understand, and they want to. Some of these leaders want to remain there without living there. So it affects the system. If you go outside, see what happened in Libya, Liberia. George Weah lost his election, and he congratulated.
Okay.
Are you getting my point? George Weah lost gallantly. They do normal, they do rerun, and the other man won.
Yeah, you know.
So that is democracy. Are you getting my point now? Because why? The man did not use his office to. It's just like when George Bush, when Donald Trump was there, was trying to use his office to but because of the system is already in place, he cannot overturn it.
Okay.
You are getting my point now? So in Nigeria, democracy, we have tried, we have gone a long way, and because democracy is still new, but we're only just saying it's old, yes, but it's still new.
Still new.
Yes, it's not up to, is it up to 50 years? No, it's still a baby. So we are still striving, so but we'll get there.
Well, okay. I'm surprised when you say it's still new right there. But just before I go back to Mr. Jerry, you know, when you started, you made it seem like whatever challenges we're having with our election was a thing with the incumbent administration and the party, the ruling party. But if you remember from 1999, 2003, 2007, our elections have always been questionable, both at the national level and at the state level. If you remember, in 2007, the election that brought in the late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and then Goodluck Jonathan as his vice, that election was very questionable, so much so that at the Supreme Court it was a ruling of 4 judges against 3 judges who said that election be annulled and a rerun be conducted. 2011 equally, we saw some pockets of violence in our election, rigging and manipulations. So if you're saying that, oh, our elections have gone like this under the administration of the APC, you might not be entirely correct. Our elections have always been questionable. If you remember the 2003 elections here in Delta State, governorship election, a particular candidate was not even allowed to move. The videos are everywhere on social media as at now. The man was blocked with military. A lot happened in that election. Results were announced in Abuja.
Okay, let me tell you. Let me clear you. When we started our democracy, 2019, the worst administration was the administration of OBASEDJE. Let me explain. At OBASEDJE's regime was still, the mentality of Nigeria was still military. They just come out of military. It's just like somebody that is sleeping. You just wake him up. It will take some time to climatize. That's exactly what happened. So at that period, they are still operating on. It's just that Obasanjo is a military man. He had the military and had the democracy to be able to make it work. So if you want to give kudos to any president, first and foremost give kudos to Obasanjo, because at the time he came in, Nigeria was in a difficult period. So you give kudos to Obasanjo to be able to manage it for another 8 years to stabilize it before he can be able to hand it over. So by the time he hand over the second and the third, now democracy is supposed to continue, because at the first stage he started as a military. If Obasanjo don't manage it well, he can still go back to.
Okay, I'll just
get to the point.
Yeah, I'll just go back to Mr. S.A. Jerry right now, talking about our democratic process and our democratic system. You talked about how, yes, democracy might have achieved some feats in Nigeria, but it's not the best. Expectations are still not met. How do you think we can get it right? Is there hope for democracy in Nigeria in your terms, or do you think this whole system should be scrapped and then we look for something else to practice?
Well, let me start with the positive. I think, and I'm very, very convinced that democracy can work in Nigeria. But let me just swing a little bit to what my colleague was saying. You know, at the last time I had the opportunity of speaking, I was saying that my colleagues seem to be putting on some toga rather than looking dispassionately as to the topic in question. Because for me, the topic in question that has to do with whether democracy or how it has impacted on Nigerians has nothing, if you ask me, coloration that has to do with party. But for the first time, let me come off my shell and maybe to shock him. I am the secretary of APC Warri South local government. If anybody would defend any political party here, I'm in a very good position to do so. So what I think the topic in question is for us to be dispassionate. Now, it's a good thing that he contradicted himself when he mentioned former President Olusegun Obasanjo. At one point, Olusegun's time was the worst. At another point, they should give him kudos because he used both the civilian toga and the military toga. You know, it shows that one thing that we still miss in our democracy today, followership is one of it. That I belong to a political party and I go to the same market like every other person doesn't mean that certain things are not. Because that's partly why you are there. Your criticism starts from home. So that when you come to a place like this, you don't come and give us another thing. Now, if you've actually dealt with some of the things as a rider, I'll say you've dealt with some of the stuffs. You know, under the after Obasanjo, let's say Yar'Adua's time was a very short stint. Now, but if you look at the Jonathan's time, that he had 6 years, and then if this government is bad, I do not think that beyond Obasanjo that even Jonathan government wasn't even corrupt. Because if you want us to exonerate this one, I'll tell you this is a government that is just barely 7 months old. By next year, I can criticize this government. Or not before this time. Now, the question I think we've got after problem and major challenge in Nigeria is that if it affects you today, you don't win. The other government cannot do. This is not what happened in other crime. Once the government of the day comes in, you have made campaign sufficiently, you didn't win. Don't blame it on other persons, because if you want to blame it, then we're going to look at the past. We'll say, okay, you even taught these persons, if you want to look at it from that perspective. But nevertheless, once a government of the day has come in, we should leave our party and begin to think how we support that government, because it's contextual. You contested, you said you want to bring out your best candidate, and then the other people contested, they brought out their best candidate. Right now, we are all Nigerians. Nobody's talking about Joe Biden being a Democrat today in America. They're talking about the American president. And I want to think that every responsible citizen, here we only know how to pray anyway. But if it's prayer that you need to pray, pray for the president of the day, pray for the government of the day. Because even in our states that we're trying to look at, if I want to go down to our state, I want to think that they will be condemning this state governor now. That has only barely started and it's unfair. It only barely started, it's unfair. Let us look at democracy, how it has impacted my wife going to the market and what she would bring back home. It has impacted that school fees that I paid only months ago, I'll be paying higher school fees by this time. I don't want to mention schools. So those are the aspects we're looking at. This is a mono economy. We can't say from 1999, successive government that has not done it. Look at DSC here. DSC will provide at least direct employment of 5,000. We're not talking about indirect employment, where you have to do supplies, you have to do this, you have to do that. Look at about textile industry, because DSC is at the federal level. So if we condemn, let's look at every aspect and then see whether democracy was actually impacted positively. As about textile mill, one governor that left stayed there for 8 years. That's the industry or factory that is right in his constituents, Delta North. Nothing done. That could also create some level of employment. If we say, for instance, democracy has impacted in Nigeria, and this is the most, the black most populous nation, that should have been a role model, not even South Africa. And then somebody is telling us that the employment we see in Nigeria, cutting across board, is tricycle. And then we say there's development, and then we want to talk about development, we say that somebody brought phone here, and then we're buying the phone that we cannot produce. We can't even produce SIMs. It is sad, it's appalling, But I believe, to come back to your question, I believe democracy still has a way to go positively, but we just need commitment, purposeful one, purposeful commitment from leadership, and indeed followership as well.
Okay. No, listen, let me tell you. When I was making my point, I don't make point for any party. I only say, listen, I said, if you want to analyze tenure of government, I don't know how you analyze yours. If you want to analyze tenure of government, I said it's an open discussion. Obasedje's time, Nigeria just leave democracy, just leave military. So everybody idea is still on part of military. So Obasedje managed to keep it together because he was a military man and tried to add it to democracy and be able to succeed his 8 years. Are you getting my point now? If you want to go to party, I have 101 to talk about PDP because I'm a PDP man. Are you getting my point now?
Well, I wouldn't want to.
So if you want to talk, so we should not bring in. Well, I'm only just analyzing how the government, now democracy has come to stay. So we should play democracy as it's supposed to be. Are you getting my point now? That is what I'm saying. We should do democracy as it ought to be. We have this thing. We should want to share position, share it according to the federal character process. Everything want to do it as it's supposed to be. The time Obasedje came, Obasedje was using both carrot and stick to be able to make the country stable. That is what he did. That is what I said. If you want to praise anybody, but now first of all, give kudos to Obasedje, because at his time there was bad, there was good. So he used carrot and he used stick because people were still thinking in the military way, and even the military, they are still there too, to be able to look for a loophole to be able to come back, because the thing is still on their they still have taste for it. Not now that all of them their mind is. Are you getting my point? That is exactly what I'm trying to say. Okay. I'm not telling you that the PDP or APC, all people that is in APC today, majority of them are in PDP.
We are in PDP. Like
the governor, like the former chairman.
No, you're saying they were not.
They were in PDP. Are you getting my point? They were once in PDP. Are you getting my point now? So at the end of the day, they left PDP and come to APC. It is the same character they do in PDP that make them to leave. That they carry to APC. It's like put a new one in the old bottle. So that is it. So if you want to talk, like when they're talking of BOB, I told them, if you want to talk of this, let Obi move. Bring a new person that have not contested before. Then you are telling me that is a new person. So are you getting my point? What I'm trying to, I did not say, I always bring out some point, because I said the impact of politics, the impact of democracy, as a part of. So I just tell you to play. You want to analyze each of the government, we begin to analyze them.
That's clear.
I get my brother. So I just analyze that because he started it. No, anybody that starts something, he always get a rough.
That's clear, Mr. High. So moving on quickly, because you said that to a large extent we have grown, we've progressed, and that we are moving ahead. Well, what would you say can be done better? Because as of now, especially with the last general elections, there are lots of persons who are giving up on democracy in Nigeria. Lots of persons will tell you, oh, it's better for military to come back. Some of them are even telling you, you know what, this country, just pack your load and jack back to other countries and all that. What do you think our democratic leaders can do to instill confidence on Nigerians and to help democracy progress better here in Nigeria?
Basically, we are in the country. They think of good things to manufacture, bring those companies, those cars, manufacture food to this country and assemble it here, so that everybody that needs employment will go. Then, like DSC, revive, Ajakuta State, revive. Then, like all those, by the time you bring all these things up, you understand, before you know, like this war report, I think I'm hearing that they want to dredge it so that bigger and chips will be coming, top, all those things. By the time you know, when things are coming in like that, you see everybody will begin to feel free, because in those days we don't have tribe body, we only have old warriors. Abiola bros.
Absolutely.
That was what we worry. We don't have Urobo, we don't have Ijo, we don't have Ijedu. Everybody move together, eat together, play together. We go to MPA, do tally clerk, get your money, move, go there. So that is how. So by the time all these things begin to come back now, you'll find out that everybody will begin to enjoy themselves. Nobody will begin to look who is this, who is that, who is that. Democracy is let everybody feel free.
Are you saying that should industries come back, those industries which are barely functioning right now, be returned, people will naturally just feel confident in the system and forget whatever transpired in the last election and feel confident to come out and vote in the next election? Because as we speak now, there are lots of Nigerians who have made up their minds that they are never coming out to vote again. So are you saying with industrial settlement by the government, both at the national level and at the state level, all of that wounds amongst Nigerians will be healed and people will just come out and believe in democracy?
Okay, see this government now. He gave Julius Berger a contract.
You mean the Delta State Cup?
Yes.
Okay.
70-something billion naira contract to do some flyovers and repair some roads. Instantly, one of his arch enemy began to praise him. That is it.
Oh, can you mention it?
No, I cannot. You don't mention people's name. But I just tell you that when you do something that is good, when people see that what you are doing is good, they will come around you. Because there are people that are there, they're just trying to watch you and see what are you doing that will impact the people. Are you getting my point now? So this government, if they put things on ground, like what my colleague is saying, put things on ground, let the people see that you are putting things on ground. They'll see, because when you put things on ground, they are seeing what you are putting on ground that is visible, and you are seeing it that is useful to everybody. They'll say, this government is trying. Even if the road is a necessity that every government can do, pipe water, all those things. But when you put it on ground, nobody wants to know whether you are PDP or you are APC. But once you put something on ground that benefits everybody, you see everybody begin to flow. Okay. So by tomorrow, if you come again, so the man try, let them go. You not even need campaign. Are you getting my point? So that is it. So democracy, they want to see.
Okay.
They want to see. Like when I mentioned phone, at the time the phone came, it was the best at that time. Are you getting my point now? So now what you're supposed to do now, the government is supposed to look at who bring the phone. This phone. It's a passenger. But are you getting my point now? So now the government that come, other government are supposed to, okay, let us go an arm's length to develop this thing now, so that we have them in our country here, so that we will not be buying Belgian phone and all those things. So by the time they come in, that it is the government of ground. If they do that thing now, kudos to that government. Are you getting my point?
Okay.
So that is it. Okay. So democracy is for you to put things on ground. Like this government now is trying to put things on ground. There are so many things that you go into Warren and see they are doing some road. Go to Beji, you see they are doing road. Go to Ojo road, they are doing tying road and the rest. All that part of democracy. Are you getting my point now? So when the people in that area now, they give us road, this road before nothing they pass them. That is the common man. Are you getting my point? So it is the things you do that make the people to go for you. Show me what you have done.
Okay, Mr. Jerry,
okay, let me bring you a little bit. When they
are taking this the whole day.
Sorry. When they are contested by us just now.
Yeah.
Timmy Brasiva and Dorian. Different principal have been minister, have been governor for them. Now become minister. When he wanted to continue, they asked him, when you are a minister, what did you do for your people? You did not do one thing, and you are a minister of petroleum, and your area produced crude, and you did not do anything. So basically, that one alone give him what? Minus. When the man win, Jonathan went to meet the governor and said, if not be you win, I for carry my mama go Abuja. What is that language? So democracy is what people, when you begin to do things, you see people begin to say, yes, yes, okay, you have tried.
All right.
So that is it.
All right, I'll come back to Mr. Jerry right now. Do you share similar views with regards, once the basic necessities of governance are provided, naturally people will just begin to fall in line and believe in democracy, regardless of what they feel about the democratic process in the country?
Well, I'll start this way. Democracy, if it deals with the welfare of the citizenry, if it deals with their security and their social expectations, is all excellent. Although not to say that you can actually have any society that has got 100% democratic practice. Perhaps one of the bane in Nigeria is the fact that we had military incursion for over 3 decades, and then in order to turn around and then follow consistency had been a problem, so we're struggling with it. Now you see where I was going earlier, and we have actually touched so far, is that we're looking at how democracy has so far impacted. I'm not looking about the fact that we had a one-part road and then it's been expanded. The question is, some of them are expanded, but somebody else will come and still re-award that road. Yes. If you don't have durability, if we have a situation, for instance, he mentioned something, I need to be positive about that, because like I said, I'm dispassionate about what we are discussing. No coloration. Now when he mentioned something as an example, for instance, that has to do with the present governor of Delta State, as it were, over the award of the flyovers. The reason is that why people are jubilating is not because it has always been beggar there, but because those construction companies that have been given are the ones that won't give us standard, and the people know why they are awarding to such companies in any case. Now it therefore means that those flyovers, whether you like or not, will be durable. If you go crisscross the whole of Warri, look at the entire road, whether they are wide or narrow. The ones that have been standing so long are the ones that were built and constructed by late Ugbemudia. Now what we are talking about is this: if we have people expanding, for instance, Airport Road, and that we don't need to put palliative on the road, yes, we say they've done something, so that the next person that can be looking at the thinness. So that's, for me, the extent at which I said democracy had not entirely positively impacted on Nigerians, not because it hasn't done nothing. I'm not on the part that it hasn't done nothing, because it is work in progress. So until we start to conscientize ourselves, both followership and leadership, and then we begin to see the kind of turnaround and change that we want. I've had cause to tell some persons, this country had almost taken my destiny away, as it requires for those things that I shouldn't pray for. It is wrong for me to pray to have a wife just because I do not have money that will make me take responsibility to the family I want to get into this world, particularly my kids, for example. It is wrong for me to go to a church and pray for food. Abraham Maslow placed human wants into 5 hierarchy. The basic is what Nigeria is lacking, and that's why I keep saying that we have missed it somewhere, and then we need to correct it, not because democracy hasn't done anything. I keep wanting to emphasize that. And what's that need? Physiological need. That's why you got shelter, food, and clothing. In fact, if Nigerians will give their fairly used clothes that they have used to South Africans, given to other countries, Angola, and then today on Saturday we'll go to Ibudu market. On Mondays we go to is that Michael market or something like that? And then we go there, we go take fairly used clothes, and then we say the democracy has done something, and then where we should even be producing clothes for ourselves that will be exporting. So that's the part I am dwelling in. This is the part that I want us to look at dispassionately, and because if this country, like I said, I've almost taken those of my kids away, mine away, I'm making my little contribution by my voice, because I don't want those of my kids to be taken away. The reason why you have kids who are out of school today, the reason why you have, see, if you don't train children the way you are, it will bounce back to the society. That's why you see what we have today. Values being lost everywhere. Behind camera was just saying a moment ago, I have another brother in this studio, but I won't mention them now. But these are people you look up to. In those days where you have a parent, a mother carries a child for 9 months, and then when the child has come to birth, that child is for the society. And then you look up to those people. Today, are you telling me that there are certain persons who could, the period the likes of my dad were leaving the earth, I said those who had the knowledge were all going. Because we have very few people today that has anything that are going to impact on people. In fact, the youth are wanting to impact both negatively on the elders. That's why you see our communities, they have been taken over by the youth. No, so if you ask me, one of the reasons why we also are where we are, values. Perhaps we need to tie democracy to our culture. Many of the society where it has worked is because they tie it to their culture. Rwanda, for example. Rwanda is not in the moon, it's in Africa. But they tied it to their culture. Today we've lost values in almost every aspect. I was going to take my other brother when I got into the studio. I held my hand. Not because I see him every day. Now today, a young guy, before you raise your hand, they bring their hands to you. It is the impact of democracy, whether we like it or not. But that is negative impact. Well, perhaps we are going to do that's negative. But right now,
that is not democracy.
It is part of it. See, democracy and civility. That's not democracy. Hang on. Behind camera, I was saying democracy and civility. There's just a thin line.
That's not democracy.
Hang on, please. Democracy and civility is just a thin line.
Okay.
So if you mix them together, and I'm being educated in the Western form of civilization. Of course, today, just a moment ago, even right in your phone, you were looking at the video. What's the video? LGBT is education. Are you saying the Americans that have adopted that they talk about a right of freedom and liberty? So that means everybody has got right. But if you ask me, you know why we say value? Why I said value? I was going to come to that. Why I said value, we should actually link it to our value system in Africa. In this case now, Nigeria. It is their value system there. That is why the democracy is working the way it is. So if they say they will support LGBTQ there, it is simply because they still believe in that freedom and liberty. The liberty for you to do whatever you choose to do, provided within the confines of the law. Now, if we now adopt that, and like what you said, if they are going, that's what video stated, if we are going to sign, for instance, into that charter, does that not trample on our values? So that's why I said democracy is still a work in progress. But as far as I'm concerned, in all strata, all facet of life, it has not impacted possibly as much as it should be. It's simple.
And it should be constructed
in
line with our culture.
Exactly. That's why we take it.
Just before we go, Mr. Isaac, your final words in 30 seconds.
First, our democracy, as a parent, you have all to do the values on your children. If you do not put the value on your children, the society will put value on them. When you bring up your kids, you bring them up to this world. You tell them what they're supposed to do. Leadership is without vacuum. If you do not take responsibility of a leader, somebody else will take responsibility of a leader. If you have a father, a mother, and children at home, if the father did not take and the mother did not take, the senior son will take. And if you see some children today, they are brought up for zero. So they begin to do things in a zero manner. So that is it. Not democracy did not, if you train, today you are doing democracy, I'm doing democracy. Yeah? Does democracy change my values? No, because I was brought up. So if you not bring your children up, definitely.
If democracy doesn't give you the enabling environment, and as the parents that's unemployed, it's not an excuse. Now the parents will naturally leave the children to fend for themselves. That's part of the impact we're talking about.
No, look at what we are saying now is when you train your child, the Bible says train up a child. Why some people are bringing up a child? There's difference of training and bringing up.
Okay, all right.
You take your child to school. When he come, you don't check his books. You don't ask what he did. You don't know what he did. You don't come from school. Okay, he drop there. He come out. At the end of the day, you are bringing up that child. You are not training the child.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Why we
so
don't
much.
make excuse for such parents? Why we don't make excuse for such parents?
So you don't make
Because democracy, the environment, like we said, isn't there, and then people, a lot of parents are now allowing their children to fend for themselves. The truth is that, unlike those days where there was values transcend over 80% of the homes. Today, if it's the opposite, if you even train the child well, if you are not lucky, they will influence the child negatively in the school.
No, the issue because you don't train the child well in the at home.
All right, thank you, gentlemen.
You don't train the child well at home.
We are fast losing grip on the conversation, which is democracy and governance, the impact on Nigeria. Because yes, if indeed we have strong values as Africans, as Nigerians, what then is responsible for all the bad behavior we see from our leaders, from those who are in charge of conducting elections, from those who are in charge of interpreting the laws, from those who should be making laws? I think that's a worthy conversation to have in line with democracy and governance in Nigeria. But time will not allow us to do that right about now. So thank you so much for joining me today, Mr. S.A. Jerry and Mr. Isaac Edda. Thank you. And that's about our package for Political Arena today. Many thanks to you. Many thanks to you for being there. Remember, Political Arena will come your way again, same time on Wednesday. Until then, my name is Organica. Stay tuned to Delta Radio Television.